Well, Jifa is on standby with Dr. Calvin Owusu. Jifa.
Yes, and I thoroughly loved Remy speaking Chi when he performed that Stone Boys song. For a minute, I actually thought he was Ghanaian. He did really well. So check out his YouTube and stream his music. Let's support him. But we're here with Dr. Calvin for the health segment, and today we'll be talking ovarian cyst. So if you have any questions or contributions, we want to hear from you. So please use the hashtag BreakfastDaily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585832 for us to hear from you. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233, and if you're on Twitter, you can tweet at me at GFATCTV. Good morning, Dr. Calvin. Of course, he's the medical director of Optima Care Diagnostics. How are you?
Good morning, Jifa. I'm very well.
Haven't had to speak with you in over a month.
Today you have graced me with your presence. I'm excited. It's going to be a great day.
It's always an honor to have you with us. Ovarian cyst, what is it?
Well, it's actually one of the most common things out there regarding women, but unfortunately it's shrouded in mystery, so it gets a bit scary whenever somebody is told that you have a cyst, but it's really not that big a deal for most of the time. Basically, a cyst is a fluid-filled cavity, a fluid-filled structure. And if it happens in the ovary, then it's called an ovarian cyst. Now, most women, or in fact all women, develop a cyst every month as part of their menstrual cycle.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by it's technically not a big deal.
Okay.
So basically, as the hormones interplay between estrogen, progesterone, and all the other hormones related to your menstrual cycle, they as they go up and down, they stimulate the ovaries to start developing an egg or to maturing an egg. And as the egg matures, it's found in a cyst. And then eventually when the egg is fully matured, it's released, then we say you're ovulating. Okay. So ovulation basically means the cyst has opened up to allow the egg to come out. So that's how it's supposed to be under normal circumstances. Okay. Then usually that cyst that opened up for the egg to be released would stay around for a while, about 2 weeks, and begins to release more estrogen and progesterone in preparation for pregnancy. Okay. So if no pregnancy occurs, then that cyst would then involute, it would disappear, it would die. So this is normally what happens every month as part of your menstrual cycle. Wow. So it's not such a big deal for most women. In fact, most people don't even realize that there's anything going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a woman. I've never realized that there was something going on.
Exactly. So if everything is going well, I mean, if you are sensitive or if you are observant, you might actually feel some pain called the mid-cycle pain. Okay. But again, it's not every woman who actually has experienced it before.
Around what time would you experience
Around so depending on your cycle, it would usually happen around the midpoint. So let's say day 12 to day 16. But it also depends on your cycle length. Okay. But
let's say I have a short cycle.
So if let's use the 28-day cycle, which is the one most people know about. So by day 14, you'd actually notice that pain. Okay. And that is usually when
would it be like a cramp or?
Well, it could be it could be described as a cramp. It's just a sharp pain. A dull pain. Okay. I haven't experienced it before, so I'm just using the exactly. So it's a dull pain.
It'll feel like a cramp. Almost.
Yeah, it feels like a cramp, but it doesn't usually last long. Okay. And you feel that pain at the point when the cyst has opened up, to allow the egg to come out, because basically it's like a cut. A cut on your skin to allow the egg to come out. But again, most women don't even observe it, except you are very sensitive, or except you know what you are looking out for. So for instance, if you have actually studied your cycle length and you know for sure that my cycle length is 28 days, then you know that around the day 14 I'm expecting this pain. So then it happens, and then you pick it up. But if you don't know your cycle length, most people actually miss it. And so generally the cyst happens every month to allow for ovulation and eventually menstruation.
Okay. Are there any time where it's an extreme form of the cyst, or it's a regular cyst for all of us?
Well, so unfortunately, there's definitely as human as we are, there are bound to be outliers, or there are bound to be situations where we deviate from the normal. And so yes, there are cysts that become challenging. So sometimes a cyst might develop, or an egg is growing, but then it's not released. So the cyst keeps getting bigger and bigger, and that's when we begin to have challenges. So then you're going to now have pain, which may be persistent, or maybe recurrent. The pain is either persistent or recurrent. And then you might also have this, you might feel a bulge, you might feel a heaviness in your pelvic area. You feel like there's a presence in your lower abdomen. So when you a heaviness, a presence, these are all descriptions that have been given to cysts because they are found in the pelvic area.
When you say a presence, what do you mean?
What I mean is you feel like there's something there which was not there before. You know, because the pelvic area is a small area. There's bone on either side, on all around the pelvis, and so it's a tight area.
We have a picture. Maybe we'll show them once it's ready.
And so once something begins to enlarge
right now.
Okay, so this is a picture of the female reproductive system, which is showing the uterus, which is that middle organ, and then the ovaries on the left and on the right. Now the ovary on the right is a normal ovary, but that on the left is an ovary that has a cyst in it. So now you can see that the cyst is a bulge. It's a big ball sitting in the pelvis. Now picture a stiff bone around this structure, and I have this cyst developing. You definitely feel like there's something there because it's be compressing on structures around it. And so that's why people describe it as a presence or a feeling of heaviness in my pelvis. Yes, and so then you'd have to then investigate to find out, because you cannot tell with your eye that there's something going on there. So you'd have to investigate to see what is going on. You know, and so when you do an ultrasound scan, it can pick up a cyst, so that you know whether this cyst is something that needs immediate action or it should be observed. Now, whether you're going to observe, you're going to do to act immediately, will depend on the size. So if the cyst is very big, there's a chance that it's going to cause torsion. Now, torsion means that it's going to turn on itself. And we don't want that to happen. Yes, because when the ovary undergoes torsion, that ovary could die, especially if we don't act fast enough. When I say the ovary could die, I mean that, you see, because the ovary, the blood supply is coming to the ovary. Now when you twist the ovary on itself, it means that the blood supply, the blood cannot enter the ovary again. Which means that ovary is going to die. Now if you understand the role of the ovary basically is your reproductive organ. If your ovary is non-functional, it means that you're going to have challenges with, yes, there are no eggs to be released from that side. So in an extreme situation where you've had 2 ovarian cysts which have had torsion, that means that you've lost both your ovaries. Or if, let's say, in the past you had an ectopic pregnancy which resulted in your ovary being removed.
What do you mean by ectopic pregnancy?
Ectopic pregnancy is when a pregnancy occurs outside the womb, outside the uterus. It could happen that the pregnancy could happen in the ovary or in the fallopian tube, the tube connecting the womb to the ovary. You know, because when the egg is released, it has to pass through the fallopian tube to get into the womb. If you've had an ectopic pregnancy, it could be that fallopian tube is removed or that ovary is removed. So if you have only one ovary left and that ovary also undergoes torsion, that means that you're going to have challenge with childbirth for the rest of your life. And so even though I mentioned in the beginning that ovarian cyst is not a big deal for a lot of women, it doesn't also mean that if you have a cyst, you should take it lightly.
So at what point do we notice that, okay, this is abnormal, I have to call my doctor?
So we take it back to knowing yourself, and I think every time we speak about on a subject related, we talk about you need to know yourself. If you've been having your menstruation since you were 11 years old, now it's even 9 years old, and you know that there's not been pain, or there's not been severe pain, or there's been pain which is manageable, but suddenly you are noticing that the pain is much more, and the pain is staying longer, or you are feeling a bulge in your lower abdomen, or you are feeling a heaviness present, whichever you want to describe it, something unusual is happening to you, you need to go for a checkup. Because like I said, you cannot just look with the physical eye and see that there's a problem, there's a cyst that has developed. No, you need to go for a checkup, and then they'll request a scan, and then we'll see what exactly is going on. Now, depending on the features of the cyst, if any, they are going to advise you, we need to do A and B. And the options include surgery to remove that cyst if it's not resolving by itself. But before they jump to surgery, they'll probably observe you for a couple of weeks to see if the cyst will reduce by itself. Because most cysts actually disappear by themselves. But if it's not disappearing, if it's persisting or it's getting bigger, then we have to intervene. And this is where there's always a challenge, because a lot of women, because of maybe past experience or stories from other people, are afraid of surgery. And so they always find, they always avoid the surgery. And so oftentimes we end up doing the surgeries a bit late, which then the complication has already been established. Because I mentioned torsion as one of the complications. The second complication is actually rupture. Yes, and that's even more severe in the sense that when the cyst ruptures, remember that I mentioned that a cyst contains fluid. So now this fluid is going to be released into the abdomen. And depending on the contents of the fluid, it can irritate other abdominal viscera, other abdominal organs, and that could be a major surgery.
So, Doc, we're going to discuss some of the extreme cases, especially if you're a woman out there or you have a wife or a girlfriend, we really want to talk about this because we take it for granted. I have a cyst and it's normal, but we need to pay attention. You don't want to get to a point where you can't have kids because of this issue, right? Early detection is key. I still have with me Dr. Kelvin Owusu, who is the Medical Director of Optimal Care Diagnostics, and we were looking at the extreme cases and what can happen when you go through that and why it's important for us to pay attention so we don't have to experience those things. Doc.
Yes, so I mentioned that there are two extreme consequences.
Yeah.
One is torsion, and the other is a rupture.
And torsion is what it flips over.
Yes, it flips on itself, and so then the blood supply is compromised, and so the whole structure is going to die, and that's not a good thing. You don't want your ovary to die, so as much as possible, you want to intervene before it gets to that point. And the second one is rupture. If as the cyst is getting bigger and bigger, the risk of rupture increases.
Wow.
And so you don't want it to become too big that it actually causes, it actually ruptures. You can actually have a cyst growing so big that you think you are pregnant because your abdomen is actually distended, and we don't want that to happen.
Wow.
Yes. And so we must intervene before that time.
Okay.
So basically what I'm saying is that every woman develops some cysts every month. That's not what we are worried about. We are worried about the one or two that's become too big and then start causing problems. Now, there are different kinds of cysts in terms and they are named according to where they start from.
Okay.
That is not important right now because whatever the origin of that cyst, we don't want it to become too big. So once you go in for your checkup and then you do a scan and they pick it up the very first time, depending on the size they see, they might intervene immediately, or they might ask you to go and come back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Now in that time, or 2 weeks or a month, in that time, when you come back for a second visit, what we are looking for is, has the size reduced or has it gotten bigger? If the size has reduced, you probably go and come again, because then it means that it's going to go away by itself gradually. So they're going to monitor you over some time and then monitor how the progression of the reduction continues. But if the size is increasing, then there might be a need to intervene.
What are some of the treatments available?
So basically, the treatment is surgical.
Are there like early stage treatments that won't involve surgery?
So that's what I mean. So the treatment will be observed. Okay. So that's one. So if you come in for your review and it's reducing, we would observe and then monitor it as it reduces by itself. Okay. But if it's increasing or if the risk of torsion or rupture is high, then the treatment option is surgery. So they would have to do a surgery. Now the thing is, the surgery can be a small surgery or a big surgery, depending on how big how severe the complications are likely to be. So which is why I was saying that a lot of our women, when they hear surgery, they run away.
Yeah, no one likes surgery.
Exactly. No. So that then by the time the surgery is actually done, it has converted from a simple surgery to now be a major surgery. Yes, in as much as surgery is scary, I think that if we education, and that's why it's important that we talk about these things, because most of the outcomes can be positive. I mean, you can have a cyst removed without the ovary necessarily being removed if the intervention is done early enough.
So early detection is key.
Yes, very, very important. But the one other key thing is that because there are so many scans and ultrasound scan centers all over the place, a lot of women go to scan centers even before they come to hospital. So they are getting diagnosed of ovarian cyst and they come very worried. And this is why I'm stressing that every woman has a cyst at some point in their menstrual cycle. So every month.
Don't freak out.
So don't freak out. Yes, by all means, report also and get a checkup so that we know whether this cyst is the regular cyst or it's an irregular cyst. But don't freak out because there's a diagnosis of ovarian cyst. It's not a death sentence. It can be treated appropriately. Any
last words for us?
Well, like I said, I mean, if you don't do anything about the cyst and it gets bigger and bigger, then the intervention will be surgical. So if you want to avoid surgery, then report hospital early so that the appropriate intervention can be started, and then you'll be free of any irregular cyst.
Where do we follow you on social media, Doc?
Kelvin Owusu MD on all social media channels.
Thank you. And the other one too is Nasepo. Just wanted you to laugh, Doc. Thank you.